Okay.
Mamanyoko son oui ya son nanamu Kian kpane bato we otomoni o ya do mo si awie ya o Mamanyoko son oui ya son dembe mu o ya Kian kpane bato we otomoni o ya do mo si awie ya o Kian se pa yanju o kian se pa yanju o kian sa pa yanju o kian ma se pa yanju o so si o lele o si o lele o ya si o lele o ya si o lele yo amo manyo ko so wi ya son dan be mu Kian kpane bato we otomoni o abiyan me do mo si awie ya o Kian se pa yanju o mama Kian se pa yanju re son ke wo kian ya Kian se pa yanju o Kian ya uri money mo re tole se ma bembe son bi Kian ya uri manyo e abatoni Passion même bobo Kian ya we money Mo retole si ama memu pio abinyo be Wo kian.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Tough Talking Thursday on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Tough Talking Thursday, we're going to be looking at some key issues, and they will center around the formation of the new Boakai administration. Yes, the formation of the new Boakai administration. Where is Joseph Newman Boakai headed? We're going to be looking at the contentions and scrambles for public service jobs, confirmation hearings, the JNB Boakai's 100 days deliverables, and disenchantment. You heard me. Disenchantment probably or most likely in the GNP Unity Party government.
100 days deliverable.
With me to do this, I have our man from the DC area, Mr. Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, Dennis. A lot of exciting agitation going on at home right now. It's a perfect time to do an analysis.
Thank you. Let me welcome Professor Dr. Abdullah Dukle, also a regular panelist here on Focus on Liberia Tough Talking Thursday. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you, Dennis. Happy to be here. I look forward to a good discussion.
Great. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. We still have some members of our crew coming, but we can go on. Well, we want to invite all our viewers from across the globe. Please invite a friend, share the show. Too much to talk about. Before we even start, I think the president has he put some wins in his column. So before we begin our topic for tonight, let's look at some of the things that are happening. President Boakai has declared his asset. He went through the drug test. He appointed. He's ordering audit for NSA and other agencies, and a lot of things happening. Dr. Dukle, those are some wins in the president column.
Well, everybody's been waiting for this government, so it's taking shape. And I think Boakai will go as Boakai grows slowly, methodically, and we'll just have to get used to his pace of working. But definitely, he's appointing people. Not many surprises, but government is taking shape. Administration, I'll say, is taking shape. So let's see what happened down the line.
Thank you. Jimmy, we see many things happening, more appointments, confirmations. We see the asset declaration finally here, even though we don't know the details yet, or I've not read the details yet of what is being declared, the value of what Mr. Boakai is worth. We also saw that he submitted himself to drug testing. I don't know if Kush was tested also, we don't know yet, but we're going to find details. He's he said he's going to audit. The whole thing about audit has been going around. Finally, he said, yes, we're going to audit. Those are some of the happenings recently. What do you make of them?
You know, whenever you see the leader making serious effort to do something, it means it's going to have manifestation later on. This drug test, I don't think, I'm almost certain that President Boakai decided to go through such a test because he's going to use this later on. He's not going to just do it. It's not for flow show. He's going to use it as a criteria for evaluating various personnel in the government. And we'll see this manifest itself very soon. When it comes to the appointments, though, I am a firm believer that the leader has to present a vision and a clear way that his lieutenants can achieve their objectives. I don't think by simply appointing somebody at LWSC and leave them alone is enough. We have to evaluate, you have to go through an analysis of the water situation in the country. I remember when that same position was vacant earlier. And I realized, I said, people were telling me about the position. But if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the financial background, you go there and be looked upon as a failure. So each one of those positions, each one of those areas present a unique challenge, and ultimately you have to have a unique way of going in, approaching it. So he's going to have a lot of one-on-ones with his lieutenants, molding the vision, coming up with the way they were going to proceed, the methods, the procedures, the ideology, and the resources. I think there's a lot of work to do. It's not just the personnel and their individual capability. Sometimes you have to guide people under you. You have to lead them to the water, so to speak.
But Jimmy, don't you think that he was elected because he made promises on doing certain things, and therefore there is a vision leading to all this that is not just out in the blue? I mean, he's not going to tell you the details of what he's doing, but you appoint somebody, and that person has a share in his vision, and therefore, I don't see the contradiction. I don't see the problem here, really.
Now, I'm not saying there's a problem as such, but you mentioned something. There were some promises made. Okay, but now that you are put in the position, okay, I still expect you to meet certain criteria. I still expect you to come up with certain plans. I still expect you to deliver. And he had to me, I'm just looking at the general attitudes that I've observed over the years. Okay, they got some people who will spearhead things, and there's some people need guidance. Some we in the past administration, remember we called for several. So why doesn't he change this lead? Why doesn't he replace him? And there was nothing done like that. It's performance should be their key here. So it's okay having a promise. It's okay understanding the general vision, but your performance, what you deliver, is supposed to be key.
But the man just got appointed. How can he deliver?
I mean, in the future, not now. We're talking about over a year or 2 years. I'm talking about now that you're there, we want for you to perform. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right, I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, but even in the appointment, right? I want would do more of the appointment. I want to talk about the audit that has been promised. Dr. Dukley, you said we should actually get used to the slow pace, if I'm quoting you correctly. But the audit, the CBL, the EPS, NSA, is it new or what is driving that? Because initially he promised audit, but later on we start hearing about it now. Specifically, he's targeting some agencies. What's going on?
Well, as we all know, there was transition time, and whatever happens in the past will come to light. Maybe there's suspicions that those entities were not properly managed, or that they somehow misuse funds, and he wants to make sure that those are very big, those are very big entities. So I would say, yeah, somebody, but things come out in Liberia. You don't have secrets. I'm sure GAC has already audited them, or supposed to have audited them anyway.
Exactly. And that was my follow-up, right?
Yeah.
You expect that these entities have already been audited. What's wrong with picking up what is there to see what's going on with those
But
agencies?
I'll say, though, I'm not sure about the central bank, but the NSA and EPS usually use this as security cover. So
Right.
the audit is not really, I don't think they've been audited. I'm not sure. But usually, all of them, the AFL, the security sector, they say, oh, you know what, we don't fall into that category, and then they drag their feet, and usually it doesn't happen. So I'm not sure about CBL though, but CBL could also be in the background of all this money that disappeared or reappeared, and these contradictions about how much was there, how much is there, and all of that. So that could precipitate, say, okay, let's do a quick review before probably bringing in new management. Okay, EPS already got a management, but NSA no, CBL no. So maybe he wants to clear the field before he sends people in there.
Right. And Jimmy, the President Boakai, what we read is he told the Auditor General to audit covering the period 2018 to 2023, and the findings should be reported in 3 months. Right? That is still different from the audit he initially promised. Like when you get there, you want to do a kind of review of the system before you actually take over. There were reports that someone, Pepsi Yekeh, had gone. So I'm thinking, I don't know if that's had any connection with the EPS, the NSA. NSA, as I learned, has never been audited. Even if you audit the NSA, you will need a security clearance. So the GAC may not have the requisite clearance to audit areas like the
U.S.
NSA.
security clearance in Liberia,
Special operation. What are you going to do about that?
but you don't have security clearance in Liberia.
Wait, but wait, like nobody's above the law. Even the NSA, despite their budget is secretive, there has to be oversight. There has to be a body clothed with the security clearance and the responsibility of auditing them. No, they should not be above the law. Every organization, every agency in the Liberian government can be audited, regardless, and even the NSA.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can be audited, right? But the findings, only the president can report that to, right? Because
GAC reports to the legislature.
But not for NSA. For NSA,
No, for anything.
that's classified information, right?
The first draft of any report goes to the legislature.
I understand. If you go audit the NSA and they say this is for special operation, they don't have to explain that, right? So
special operation, then when you have special operation amounted to certain amount, to some amount.
We have some issue there with your audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it working?
Okay.
Right.
So, John, this is how I look at it. While I agree that certain operations are classified, not everybody should know about it. But there has to be those close with the security clearance that can evaluate it. Even the CIA, even the FBI here, there are certain things that I'm done. There are people who, not everybody, and maybe sometimes the findings will not be disclosed publicly.
Right.
But there will be a review of the activities to ensure that the funds that were used in the proper way. That is the only way you can keep your people in check, is to have accountability. Now, if you have an NSA boss who is not accountable for how he uses the funds, then he can do he's at will to do what he wants. So there has to be a point of accountability, and that accountability always it's up to the Senate. There has to be the Senate in charge of security affairs, whatnot. They supposed to be able to send someone there, appoint someone there to do the auditing with the proper security clearance.
Yeah, but Jimmy, there are two problems. If we don't have a security clearance system in Liberia, nobody has one. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you can just create one and say, okay, but anyway, statutory GSE has the right to audit every institution that use government money. It doesn't make any, how much you use. So anybody who use government money, GSE has the responsibility to audit you. The other thing is, the security institutions. I remember this joke about, an American general. They went, the GAO went to audit them, but say, General, say $45 for a cup of coffee. Say, what was in there? And the general look at him and say, "You sleep well at night." You say, "Yeah." Say, "Yeah." Say, "Okay, that's what is in there." So the security people have this thing. They have, you can audit them, but you cannot really audit them. Except, if you say, yeah, but if you say, okay, NSA budget is about, $200,000, and then they spend $1.5 million, you say, okay, what? Then that's the questions. Yeah, that kind of thing comes up.
Yeah.
I can tell you, let me give you my experience. Maybe there isn't no formal body that grants clearances like you have in the US or other places in the world. But I'm into technology, and there was a system that was deployed in Liberia to work with the police. And that system that was deployed, if it later on got the center got moved to telecommunications, and in that telecommunications room, it was NSA, and you couldn't go in there, and nobody could go in there. So there is some sense of security clearance, and maybe that's not as formal as we have here, but there is some sense of clearance that you have to have access to certain government information.
Yeah, well, people who need to know, yeah.
Yes, exactly. That security is all based upon needs to know basis. So there is some way to audit these people, and if you have to swear somebody in, temporarily swear them into security for them to go conduct the audit, then they would do so. But there should be no reason not to audit. But here's my thing about the auditing. The auditing should be done in parallel with everything else you want to do. Because what it does, auditing is a review of the past. That doesn't tell them what they can do now. There are things that you have to put in motion right away if you're going to rescue the country, if you're going to repair or change what has been going on. There are things you have to start putting in place right away. Your audit will inform you about your past occurrences and where you can improve. But what are you doing currently? Okay, so the audit has to be run concurrently with other programs that you are instituting to change the country.
But I don't think the institutions will stop working. I don't think the work will stop.
That's my question, Dr. Duke. Is this a one-off thing?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because the GSC, that's their job to audit.
Yeah,
So
that's the job to audit.
I
And but
pinpointing this specific agency and say go and audit them. What
well,
happened next to the other areas that need to be
as
looked at?
as I said before, maybe these agencies have issues that Boakai wants to look at very carefully
Okay.
before his team takes over. That's the only explanation. I don't think that GSE audit, of course, the central bank has been part of all this money disappearing, not reappearing, and money disappearing for the last 5-6 years, and they've been audited by whom? By people from outside, not from GSC, who you know made very I don't know how to say that friendly report to the government. So it's a need to look at them. NSA, yes, what is there, how much money they spend, how the EPS, it's the same thing. I mean, usually you not expect the president to be asking to audit the EPS, except something comes up, that something has come up, and he wants to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be.
And what is it, the GSC audit? So this is financial.
Yeah, well, the GSE audit is systems and financial. It's not just financial; it's also about systems. I remember John Molu was saying that auditing is not about catching somebody. It's about what's happened to how the system is working, what is happening to it, what are the loopholes, how you fix them, and that's the concept of auditing. I mean, that's I know from John.
Right.
So I think that's the same spirit that they have at GSE.
In his inaugural address, the basis he gave for the CBL to be audited was, hey, the president reported 40,000. That is not backed by facts. It is not 40,000. It's 40 million. It's not 40 million. It's 20 million. As a result, and that was the segue into bringing about audit. So if that's the, I don't know if that's still the basis of auditing the CBL. Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, but this is he said from 2018, so it's not just about $20 million or $40 million. I think this is like going back to when CDC took over and had the change of leadership at CBL, and then they brought a new person in and all of that. So yeah, I think it goes back to 2018. So it's not just about the $20 or $40 million.
But let us not forget he promised, he was asked, if you go after these people with audit, wouldn't it be witch hunting? And he said, those who are going to do the audit will come from outside. Now we see GSC. That's why I was asking if there's something off, or is he?
No, but I said here that GSC.
Yeah, but President Boakai promised.
He said that he will bring people from outside, but in reality, that was probably one of the people misspeak sometimes. GSC is the supreme audit institution of Liberia. It recognizes internationally. So to bring somebody in, GSC has to say we cannot do this, or it has to be something very extraordinary. So legally, you have to go through GSC to do that, and GSC can do it. There's no reason why they can't do it. Yeah, Boakai may promise. Yeah, he may promise. Yeah, I'll bring international auditors, but then what are they going to do? They'll give you the results you want.
Right, but
Jimmy, I have a problem.
Did he misspeak, or is this something totally different, or did he change his mind?
Okay, so here's what it is. He was challenged because he said he's going to audit every people from when to when, and then it said witch hunting. If I tell people I want to find out how are we using our money, where it's been spent, and then someone say that's witch hunting, I'm sorry. If you take a government job, we will audit you at any time. If you don't want to be audited, don't take the government job. I wouldn't let someone get away by telling me this is witch hunting. You took a government job and you have to be accountable. There's no such thing as witch hunting here. If you didn't do anything, fine. If you have, we will audit you and we'll find out whatever we need to discover. But that thing about witch hunting, I think what I would have said, we're not witch hunting. We're trying to find out the truth, and leave it at that. Now, bringing in an outside group.
So was he pandering, or what was he doing, you think?
I can't answer for him,
No,
You know,
that question.
and simply because he's an experienced politician, very very experienced. Do not underestimate how experienced President Boakai is. So his answer may be in a line with his experience. For me, I would have probably said I'm not. I would have said it differently. But for his experience and his knowing how to handle his people, he said, "Well, it will be He's trying to say it'll be a neutral group. That's what he's trying to say. It'll be new. There will be some neutrality in going on. It will not be witch hunting. I think that was the message he was sending. But sometimes you have to send a message to people in different ways. The way I would talk to my engineers, I can't talk to the layman like that. I have to talk in a different way. So his message was it will be a neutral audit. I think that was the message.
Thank you. All right, so that takes us to our topic of the day, the formation of the new administration. Where is Boakai headed? Mr. Boakai has made several appointments now. We have some confirmations. The education minister, health minister, LRA boss, finance minister, all these people now confirm. The security police chief, LDA, all that being confirmed. Based on that, we it's trying to take shape now, so we can see something, right? Jimmy, with those appointments and the confirmation so far, where is President Boakai taking us?
It's been very interesting, and I don't know where is John Molu. I heard Duke just mention Don Molu. I would have expected him to be front and center, especially for accountability. But with the new appointee, I like I said, you can have the most proficient professional, okay, and they disappoint you. They don't produce. If I could remember, we had the person in Ellen Cochran who was at the RRA. If you look at her credentials, I mean, they were astounding. But in the end, there was a lot of controversy involving her. So it's one thing appointing a capable person. Now, are these people capable or not is the question. I think when we see them on the job, we'll know if they're capable or not. All right. And then there's a lot of politics involved in everything. And you need some way of balancing the equation as why you make your appointments. But I think if they do not perform, I think they will be replaced. So the first appointments are okay.
Yeah, but where you think, why those appointments? If you look at them,
you want to talk about a few in particular?
Well, I mean, okay, let Duke come in. I mean, for all those that he has, right? Dr. Dukley, what's the
but government people. I see all these things. People, my friends are writing things about how government's supposed to be composed, how it's supposed to hire people, and the criteria. And I see some. I said this is all beautiful, but presidential appointment. It's just the president has to trust you.
Right.
That's number one, period. The rest doesn't really matter. Nothing else. Bush, it took President Bush, Katrina, to find out that he's, he disaster person was a kid who had never worked in his life, except run behind the campaign. And somebody, brought him to him. He said, oh, yeah, okay, he can do this. So Katrina happened to say, but where's that boy? he never been in it. So people push things, but appointment in the presidential circle is just based on one thing. The president will take people he trusts in his first circle, and then among those people will come and say, I know this person. Because you trust that person, you take that other person. It's all about confidence. It's not about you degree. It's not about your competence. It's not about your competence will come in after you take the job.
When you say trust, what do you mean? Trust that they can do the job, or trust because they will be loyal to you? What is that trust talking about?
Trust both to your agenda, that you have an agenda, and he trusts that he or she trusts that you can work on that agenda, and then the person trusts that you will not do mischief. at least at the beginning. So, in Boakai, I like one thing about, one thing positive that I would like to point to, that's he hired more from the ground than from the diaspora so far. And I think the top level, because I think we sometimes put too much emphasis, oh yeah, diaspora, but sometimes we don't have real, understanding of things on the ground administratively. You don't just jump in and say, oh, I'm coming from Australia, then I have experience and I can work in Liberia. It doesn't just happen overnight. People lived in that system, built a system. So you have to know it. You have to be part of it.
Thank you.
That was it. Yeah. So that, I think he's making a change.
Let me welcome Honorable Greaves. Honorable Greaves, welcome to Tough Talking Thursday. My question for you here is, with the appointments Mr. Boakai has made thus far, people look at them, and say, okay, because we're really anticipating, we're really looking forward to who is he going to appoint, because based on that, we're going to tell us where he's going with the country. What are you able to glean from those appointments, Mr. Greaves?
Dennis, thanks for having me again. Thanks for being in the company of you all. I mean, it's a simple matter. Well, I critique the government, the new administration rather, from the onset, that they were being very slow in their nominations and people those selected for the various posts. Yes, so that has been a slow start. But as he thinks, I think he's getting there gradually. I've seen some of the nominations, the nominees designate as well, and I think I'm impressed. Like my own very good friend, full disclosure, Roland Giddings and I work together. We're very good. I mean, some folks were concerned when he came on our show, and I was being very critical. And they say, "Oh, yeah, your own man Giddings, you're doing, But I think he appreciated it because we didn't come from a soft landing platform. We came from a hardcore background that I knew he could defend himself. I knew he had a substance. And now I hear that he's designated at the Public Works Ministry, which makes perfect sense. I see Councillor Kofi Woods, National Security Advisor with a legal background, somebody who's there, can have a steady mind. I see Ambassador Grispe, who is Minister of State. He's an old hand. He's been around in administration and all that, so he will have a good level of administrative ideas up there. So, and be able to make that place steady, because I'm just a little concerned about some of the people who are around the president as it is now. It's because some of the public comments, public statements he's making, and some of the decisions he's taking that we can see visibly in the public is a little bit worrisome. But we think with some of the guiding hands around him, some of those people who have been around, will be able to put that to rest and try to bring him, make him
like
more.
What? Give me some examples.
I think it was a day ago or today. I don't know. I stand to be corrected. I have not seen the full script of it, but somebody brought it to my attention that he went to do a drug test with a line of cabinet members, and I thought that was odd. I thought it was a mistake. And I just spent hours there sitting, and that was very humiliating, I think, and demoralizing as well for our president, his cabinet, to go sit there, take that beat, the urine, and put it on the table and do tests. And the question that everybody asking is that if you want to do this, what impact does it have? How is it going to fix anything? Especially when you're talking about looking at addressing the situation, the problems we have in the streets where our youth. How does that help them? And is that periodically done, or is this a one-off? What effect is going to have? What impact that's going to have? It's just for sure. If that was sure, you cannot to that level. You can bring yourself, degrade yourself to something like that just for a one-off photo, and then a photo opportunity. And then another thing is that we've been hearing some of the messages that have been coming out of him. Like, look, what I was just reading today. You're going to audit. You're instructing the GAC to audit NSA, audit the
CBL, EPS.
I mean, that's who is advising him? Who is telling these things? Because I know him. I work with him. For long, I know him to be a very wise, measured person who knows government in a working system. How will you come up and ask the GST to go audit a place like, for example, NSA? NSA operates in two folds, covert and overt. How will you audit an institution such as that? But the channeling funds behind that they don't write on paper, that nobody disclose to nobody. Those are intelligence source. That's the intelligence of our country. Very hard of our country. They can't disclose that. So if they're using money in those areas, how will you audit it? They're not supposed to disclose it. And people who are in government know all these things. The same as EBS. EBS have wide reach, broad, to protect the family, the president, and a lot of, I mean, the scope is wide. How will you audit a group like so? If you come up and make any kind of thing, people get confused, like, what's happening? What's going on? You can't audit NSA.
But Mr. Greaves, are you saying they are not accountable to anyone? Is that what you're trying to say now? That
they are accountable, but we gave them, it's we who gave them that authority. We trust them with our national intelligence secret. We told them, look, whatever it is, whatever it takes to protect us on an intelligence standpoint, to make sure that the country is stable, is peaceful, that anything that is affecting us. So use every corridor. We empower them. So if you want to audit them, I mean, I'm just saying, I've never heard of this.
Yeah,
And,
you can audit, but you may not find much.
If you're operating covertly as well as overtly, there's no way you can audit an institution that have that kind of mandate. It's just improbable.
Thank you. That takes us to our next step. There has been this scramble for jobs, right? I mean, people openly will say no. I mean, one of our sister stations, they were like almost one night, they were literally weeping. We don't have this person yet. This person is supposed to be there. People are clamoring for jobs, public service jobs. And it went to the level that the chairman of the party, he took a group of boys to the presidential palace, that is the president's home where he was using office, to protest jobs, and jobs. Dr. Dukle, you know, the children sing a song, they say, this kind of thing we never see Ellen time.
Yeah, but you know, Ellen time, you remember now, we had on meal employed about 2,000 to 3,000 Liberians with, you know, very good pay. And then you had a sub level of the UN system with, you know, tens of, you know, I would say hundreds of NGOs that all employ people, you know, somehow. In 2018, everybody left. And that was the bad luck for George Weah. I mean, everybody left. UN left, every NGO left. So there was no money. So there was a hole of $1 billion in the Liberian economic system. The UN used to spend $1.2 billion a year into salaries and house rent and all of that. And that money was gone. That money went and the job also gone. And therefore you had, for 6 years, people sat down. If you were not in government, you had nothing to do. There was no private sector, there was nothing. And then the party that wins the election, that's why when Boakai won, you had 19 parties one day who just came from nowhere and said, we're all behind you, we want to support you. So it's all about job. And we don't have these ideologies about, you know, patriotism and all of these things. It's just about, you know, cruel job, you know, the elephant meat, you know, what do I get? You know, either from Prince Johnson or from, you know, even Amara writing something about Muslim, there's no Muslim in the group. Everybody's complaining, but hey, you have a castle, you build a castle, there's only so many rooms in there.
Yeah. I think President Boakai is creating even few more rooms for this castle.
Yeah, as much as you can extend it, yeah, he'll create as many as you can. You know, some people want to retire and then take a retirement job. And you know, people,
you see a problem here, you know, because what I'm hearing from you is, hey, there is no job in the country, so everybody feeds on government.
That's it.
The experienced old man came and said, well, this is. I mean, we have a semblance now, because the criticism against Weah was he has brought more people into government. and everybody wants to work for government. It's all government, government. It was like open the private sector. The now finance minister, but right here on Focus on Liberia, said this is too much. Reduce the people. In fact, they pay for the president should not go above 8,000. The vice president should not exceed 7,000. This other group shouldn't be 3,000. And now this, Dr. Dukley.
Yeah, but
is this scramble for job justified?
Yeah, but it is justified because people have to make a living and they work to get into power to have a benefit. My friend Vanny Sherman always say, politics is interest. You go in Liberia, people are not fighting for ideas. All the political parties have almost the same identical, platform with few variants, education, health, with small details. So that means there's no real ideological concept behind our political parties. It's just that. We get it, we create jobs. And that's what Ria did, and then he's gone. Now Boakai is coming. What he's going to do with the surplus of people in the ministries and in places where they're not supposed to be? And how is he going to absorb his own partisans? So this is the problem that we created from 1990, during the interim government, where the whole idea was anybody who will run away from Taylor, come in, we give you a job. We don't have money, we give you a car and gas slips. And then we still give gas slips to people. So that was the idea. And then every voting faction that came to join interim government brought new people. And by the time we went to 1997, we have about 50, 60,000 people instead of the 19,000 at the time Udo was killed.
So Jimmy, that's a good. I like what Dr. Duke laid out. When is it going to stop then? If President Boakai will come in and we still have that same scramble that we had during the war years, where people will come, you join this warring faction, they give you a job, and that same job mentality has continued until this day, and it does not seem that President Boakai is stopping it.
Well, I think it's way too early to put the onus on President Boakai. Liberia has been developed where government is the highest employer, so it starts there, and that has to change. Okay. What concerns me though, when I hear, these guys have taken all the lucrative positions. Now, that lucrative position does not necessarily suggest impropriety. At least if somebody is paid more, we'll understand that. But my principal concern is that how government functionaries are honest and maintain the integrity in these positions. I don't believe that if they were held to a high standard where they had to be transparent and honest and maintain integrity, that these positions would be sought after. I think there's something we all know that there's something going on that people desire this position, and the only way we will stop this, to your question, is if it's with impunity. We have to stop the impunity. We saw this before. I live, and Mr. Duke can attest. There used to be people that were fired long years ago for misfeasance and malfeasance. We started hearing words we never heard before. Now, if you institute that same level of accountability, then we will see things changing. Then maybe people will think twice than going for these jobs. The other side of it, which is the real critical part, is we have to increase the private sector. We have to expand the private sector to absorb these people, because government cannot absorb these people, And so I think it's a weakness on our part that we simply just hire people, and even though they don't have work to do, what that does, it makes us less productive because the people sit around all day. And instead, they could have been doing something more productive out there in the private sector. So you lose twice. You lose that you're spending money for somebody who's not doing anything, and then you lose that person could be very active in the private sector. So it is going to require a lot of policy changes, but more especially, it's going to require an expansion in the private sector.
To
And when
Jimmy used that word, lucrative jobs. And that's the word that I hear. I mean, that's so scary. I say, oh, people are
Exactly.
talking about lucrative jobs in going to government.
remember, Dr. Douglas, during the Warren fashion years, that was what was used. So if let's say you limbo, who has the lucrative? So you needed finance, you needed foreign affairs, and those things that were considered lucrative. If they
Yeah,
give you
I
internal
remember.
affairs, you will strike. And till this day, we're talking about 30 years later.
So the same mentality continues.
Honorable Graves. Yeah, the president, the chairman said, I mean, he was in the PU water, and as a result of what he did, he should get the free port. Right, and I'm paraphrasing. The chairman was not concerned about maybe the agenda or what really they want to do. He said, hey, this is it. I was in the PU water, and this is what I'm supposed to get. Anything short of that, there is nobody, no one born of a woman can circumvent or do anything to us to what this revolution is intended for. Scary stuff, don't you think?
I think it's unfortunate. And I've been hearing that he has been going around the various appointments and ushering a lot of those nominees to the various offices and having like the big welcoming program, the event, LPRC, NOCAL, and everywhere. And so somebody, what you're running after these people's job, you're not looking after your own. I think that's when he got serious. But on a serious note, we had a situation in Liberia where we signed a resolution to suspend our constitution and to do a transitional government for 2 years, where the government was sliced into pieces and giving awarded to warring factions, political leaders, as well as the government at the time. And the government got overburdened heavily. That was during the chairmanship of the late Judge Judy Bryant, our transitional period. We suspended our constitution. We made a lot of we ran on a lot of things with the hope that we would safely and peacefully have an elections and have an elected president, which brought in Madame Sirleaf. When Madame Sirleaf took over, what she did, she inherited our overburdened government and decided to employ a strategy. What was it? Was to downsize and right size. As the team did. It came to a considerable number.
Right. Downsize?
Yeah, right size, downsize. That's how it was called.
Yeah, I didn't see any downsizing. I saw. Anyway, go ahead.
That's why I said right size, downsize, Dennis. And it was.
No, I didn't see downsize. That's what I mean.
There was a lot of cutting down. I mean, it was bad on her politically. I mean, she got a lot of hate for that. But people realized later that it was the right thing to do. Other people found a way in other places in private sector and other. But there were a lot of things going on, a lot of activity, a lot of opportunities at the time. So people go. So you didn't see it because people went into other areas and they were okay. So they didn't work much. However, the government's continuity, new administrations, same government. We came in and inherited what he inherited. All of those lucrative or those the private sector and all of those NGOs and whatever they are left. The program we formulated that was supporting the SES, Senior Executive Service, those we go from abroad diaspora to come in with a real good incentive so that they can meet up their wages, minimum wages, and as abroad, and as well as the cost of living adjustments. That was money given from OMIL and the UN and whatever through OMIL. All that I got, I had a term limit. I was going to end at a certain period, and the government was going to take over on its own when the UN had left. That subsided. We came in and inherited that when it just got subsided. It just stopped. He brought in harmonization, issued what he measured everything, equal pay, equal work. Everybody across the board get this, but with a load reduction. And people got mad. They didn't look at it. They're good in it, at least because when that starts, that's the foundation. Then over the period, that you start having increment and start taking it back to another level. But at least you start at that pace. The same government now, the opposition came in and criticized and said they're going to do better than that. Now they have come in, inherited something. Now they're seeing with their own eyes what is there. Now the struggle around for jobs and how to employ more people. They themselves looking at the burden on the wage bill and the amount that's been paid just to settle seven salaries. So there's a problem that we have. These are things that we bring on ourselves. I don't think people are so greedy or corrupt or what have you. It's just the mentality we have. That government, it's our time. We should just take everything and just forget about the things that we criticize, the things we're opposing, and what have you. So now it's our time. We should just go to the bottom of it and just make it even worse. We're all in a sense of being cautious of what sort of things that we criticize. So that's the problem this government is having right now. So what the chairman, the party chairman,
how you think they're going to get out of it?
Is to be real with the Liberian people. You got to be real. So that's what I said. People are looking. Investors are watching. Some of the things that happen, these misspeaking. The person that misspoke, calculating issues and coming out to the public. If you start this way, it go with this distrust. The people start being anxiety. They start bringing anxiety. The people start not having confidence in the leadership. And then the investors, our partners, are watching as well. Can we trust people? Can we invest? So these are some of the things. That's why from my opening statement, I was like, we got to be very mindful because it goes two ways, national and international. Our investors, our partners, and the population at home. How are they going to trust the government? How are they going to trust the leadership? What if they come and have a press conference and tell us, hey, this is what we're going to do, what have you? We saw the holiday plan. We don't understand what is it. We are having this now day 20 or day 18 or what have you. We don't know what's happening with that. Now, and I listened to the designated public work minister. He said, well, the president spoke, and now I'm inheriting it. He said he was honest, because he was on the oath. He said, I have no plan, but I will have to make up. So you see so many things. That's why we have. That's why I'm praying and hoping this our president, and we all want Liberia to do better, and we want the best advice, the best brains around him. We start talking about pharmaceutical institutions, or we don't manufacture drugs in Liberia. Oh God, people get confused.
Thank you, Jimmy. In the scramble for job, we also see some contention, and some people are not happy, right? One of those is my own friend from Moravia College, Mr. Amara Kone. He said, look, President Boakai, you've appointed 15 ministers to head ministry, including 2 ministers of state with our portfolio. Of that, Lofa has 5, Bong 4, and all that, and even listed things out. He said, look, Lofa got these ministries, this other one got this ministry. In fact, Mr. President, you promised us that you are going to take 1 minister from each county. Now you have, with 3 left, you don't have ministers from River G, Maryland, Grand Gide, Bapulu, and the list went on and on and on. Don't forget, Mr. Connor told us to manage our expectation. Is Mr. Connor not living up to his own word? Is he managing his own expectation?
Yeah, those are the throes of politics. Somewhere down in our history, we had decided that we should take people from all counties should be included in the government. We wanted a government inclusion.
I think that's a law.
Yeah.
Part of the executive law.
So we did that. So to make sure that we were not leaving some people out. But to balance such a law, it is challenging. You want to make sure that the people who are going to be appointed are capable of running these institutions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there are people from Lofa, but I would argue that if you have a lot of educated people from one group, will we be surprised if they are selected more often than another group?
It's by law now. This is law, right? You should have a geographical balance. The CDC government was criticized because they have more people from 5 counties known as Southeast, right? So if you come in now with 5 persons from one county, 4 from the other. So we shifted from southeastern to northeast? Is that why it is?
Dennis, there's something you have. What does the law say? Is it as much as possible?
Yeah.
As much as possible. So it doesn't say the president shall appoint one minister from each county. It says as much as possible. So as much as possible, you do it.
Right.
So that gives you a way out. So you don't have to do it if you can't.
And Mr. Boakai promised that he was going to have 1 from each county.
Yeah, but that was before he became president.
And I think it should be based on meritocracy as well.
That's how I would think so too.
What my thing, president appoint on trust.
No.
Trust, yeah.
President appoint on trust. I mean,
it's all in it.
You're talking about the man is president. He wanted to be president since 1997. Now he got it. So he need 18 people to work with him. 18 people he can depend on night and day. So trust is number 1 issue. If he doesn't trust you, he's not going to get you.
Loyalty, trust.
Yeah, that's it's a government. Yeah, that nobody's going to blame them. Who would blame anybody? Everybody blame where today. They don't blame the government. People blame the president.
Let me add a thought, and Dr. Douglas, you were coming, because if this is because we're talking about his promise, what he said, and now he's not doing it because he didn't trust people from Bapulu. He does not trust people from Maryland, from Grand Gila, from River.
He worked with Marylanders. He worked with people from Bapulu. He worked with people from Nimba. He worked. Unity Party have people, so he knew people from every county. Right. But are all those people ministerial, personnel?
In Boakai's judgment, Jimmy, you and your third.
Yeah, people, presidents will make these promises, and they will be held to it, and there will be failed promises. If we expect that every promise Boakai made he's going to fulfill, then I got the news for you. These people, exactly. This is the thing. This is what happens. But what he does have to do, what we expect him to do, is have a very functional administration. That these people that he is appointing, they do their job efficiently. I think that is the criticism about we as past the people from the Southeast. If those people are performing very well in their jobs, I don't think that would have been an issue. It's performance.
But they haven't started work yet. They have not started work.
That was not the issue with the drumbeat against Southeast, because I hosted a lot of people here.
Yeah, but you got to let people start working, give them 6 months, and then say, okay.
So if you were criticizing Judge Weah from appointing from 5 counties, and you
that was never a problem for me. I never raised
not you. I'm talking about Boakai. I'm talking about the Unity Party, because even that promise was based on that. That's why because Unity Party people were saying everything is Southeast, so we don't want that. And Boakai said, yes, we're going to change everything. So I want 1 person from each county. So if somebody renege on their promise and say, well, that was campaign promise, don't expect him to do it. So far, we have 2. The first one was he was going to.
But he has 6 years to go, Jimmy. Yeah. He got 6 years to go. And for 6 years, you can replace ministers. You can change them. The first government, and I always say the first government, the first administration is a thank you cabinet. People who
let me put it this way. Has anybody read the book Power versus Force?
Who was it by?
Power versus Force. Okay, so it talks about consciousness, 2 levels of consciousness. One is the high side, the lower side. On the lower side, where we talk about guilt, we talk about desire, we talk about and other things like empathy and as well as anger. And on the upside, we talk about the main force, courage. So you have to have the courage to permeate your inner self, your inner strength, and that's translated through a position. So courage is on the upper side, and then it talks about the difference between acceptance and willingness and having the ability to reason. And the only way you have the ability to reason and hash things up is when you talk about it. So you got to have that courage. You got to bring out that courage on the high side to talk about things and how we hash them up. Now, so we go through all of that. What am I talking about? We're talking about the consciousness of a politician, political parties, and political groupings. Now, you know that even during unpredictable times, politicians are always predictable. You'll find them talking one, they will always break on the other on the side that people will say, hey, okay, they were here. And you know what? They're going to ban on the other side. And it's going to happen. It happened from it happened to people blame President Salih on the same now. So it's a continuous thing. It's something that we can always predict. Now, why politicians are that way? Because there are three things that we forget. And for some of us who work with politicians and have been around and writers and whatever, we will get to know that the first thing on politicians' mind always is political ideas. They're always thinking on, it's like a fast speed train. They're always moving from one direction to the next. 1 second they're here, the next second they're there. Political ideas driving them straight. The second thing that they go to is what? They are constantly forming and reforming coalitions and partnerships. Constantly forming and reforming coalitions and partnerships. The third one politicians do is that what? They're always thinking about how to make trade-offs and reconcile competing interests. So politicians are never stable. So if you have a background,
what you're saying is as Rick Santuro said, hashtag sketch. You can say one thing and just flip because you are forming new alliances. You can basically lie.
I won't say lie, but what is best at the time. That's you gotta understand politics. I'm not making it up. That's why they're called politicians. That's why they're called politicians. What is good at the time? That's why I said it's a fast speed train. It's moving, constantly moving. It's forming, it's reforming, it's finding new alliances, it's at coalitions and partnerships. That's how it moves. So if you understand politics, a student of political science or whoever work with politicians all around the world, the same happening here, for example.
So you see why people don't trust politicians, right? Because if you can consistently criticize your predecessor, if you can consistently criticize George Weah for doing it, and you come and do the same thing and you say, well, I'm forming and reforming ideas. Do you understand why people don't trust politicians? And that's why maybe today people are only after what they can get from the politician today. Give me a bag of rice. Whatever you do when you get to power is your business. You see where that's coming from?
Yeah, but if you allow me to come in, then it's okay. If you think about the whole concept, why we say it has to be a government inclusion. We do not want to marginalize any group of people in the country. So we try to enforce it. But at the end of the day, what is more important that we have a good administration, a beneficial administration, one that anybody can participate in at all. So to balance this equation with having a solid administration and appeasing people to have their countrymen in the position or their counterman in the position, you have to balance between it. And it's a tough balance. And sometimes it's going to be lopsided. But what will be the end game is how well they perform. And I think we notice that we are learned a lot of politics while he was there. When they got rid of the Supreme Court Chief Kabinett Janet, who did he replace him with? Somebody from the same ethnic group. So you see they try to keep this balance in place. But at the end of the day, it's going to really be the performance of these people that's going to make the difference for us as Liberians, regardless of sentiment. Because I want to tell you the truth. If I see somebody from my hometown in a position and doing nonsense, I'd rather you put somebody from other county that will benefit everybody. Okay, that's how we should be looking at it.
Politics have never been like. I mean, it was not like that on a Weah though, because I don't. The criticism was he has Southeasterners, period. But anyway, let's move on to talk about this disenchantment maybe, or some contentions, or let's look at Prince Y. Johnson, Senator Prince Johnson, who supported President Boakai. Now he's talking. Also, Yekeh Koluba, who supported him, now he's talking, and people are saying he's crazy. based on what we are hearing from Yekeh Koluba and Senator Prince Johnson, do we see some cracks in the UP alliance, or this is a normal course of politicking, Jimmy?
Can I go? Jimmy just spoke. I've got to go.
Okay, go ahead, Duke. I yield your time to you.
No, but Prince Johnson always does that. He did it with Ellen. He did it with Weah, and he's doing it with Boakai. The only difference is that Boakai probably won't be running for a second term, so he may not care so much about his threats.
We still don't know that yet, Dr. Duke.
We don't know that. Yeah, we don't know that. But then again, you can't hold the presidency hostage. Prince Johnson got to realize that. I mean, you may be the godfather of Nimba, you got a vote, you control the vote, you bring them. Yes, but once the president is elected, let them do their work. You don't be on the radio and say, oh, yeah, you promised me 10 cabinet ministers. So what? So you're going to have 10 cousins in the cabinet? It's not a king. This is, you say, okay, you want pork. Everybody work for something. Yes, you want pork. You got a vice presidency of the country. Nimba got a vice president, the second person in line to the president. What else he wants? It's kind of like, this is like, oh yeah, I supported you, so you got to pay me with 5, 10 jobs, and then I have a list here of my followers that need to be in the government. We got to go beyond these things. This kind of naked, greed and carelessness and cynicism, really, clear, he's not Nimba.
Right, but he's being consistently rewarded. So why will he stop? He has an incentive.
But maybe somebody is going to stop him now. Right? Maybe he's going to be stopped now. Maybe somebody's going to teach him that presidency is not something you play with. He can make his noise. He's not going to overthrow the government. He can have, what are you going to do? He can cry all he wants. The vice president can still say, Mr. Prince Johnson, let it go. I'm still vice president today, man.
Right,
so
but he got
yes.
He got the vice presidency. He got the justice ministry. He got the defense. He got the justice minister. He got a defense ministry, if I would put it that way.
So what do you want?
Has complained about this war crime code thing, and that people, when you go after anybody with war crime court, is going to cause war. Now, with the defense ministry being Prince Johnson's recommendation, perhaps, I'm not 100%, is it that President Boakai is caving into the demands of Prince Johnson?
Well, the defense minister was Prince Johnson. He was in the army. Prince Johnson, he sent him there.
No, but you don't have to retain him.
Yeah, but that was the line of succession they adopted, I think. Chief of staff, you go to defense, and then they elevate other people. But I think the problem really is this misconception of nationhood, government. What is government? What is, public service? What is it to have a political party, to have a voice and say, I can bring people to vote for the good thing of the nation, not for you 10 or 11 cousins that you want to put in the government so you can keep dragging the whole county behind you. It's a shame. Yeah, people let him do it, and I hope Boakai will stop him.
Boakai is not stopping so far.
Yeah, well, he hasn't started working. Maybe the issue of the war crime tribunal will come up, and then that's not Boakai, because Judge Weah deposited something at the House for that, asked the legislature to enact the war crime tribunal. They didn't act on it, so Boakai doesn't have to do it. So threatening Boakai by the war crime tribunal is stupidity, because that paper is already in the House. All the House has to do, pick it up, and Fonatif Kofa said he wants to do it in his campaign.
If I may come in.
Yeah, before you come in now, let me go to another group. Yekeh Koluba is also talking. He said he's talking for the people. I mean, he said all kinds of things. Some of them I can't even repeat. What is going on with Yekeh?
I think the problem here also is that it is a good thing in a way that, like going back to the book I just referenced, that people are now trying to exhibit or utilize that consciousness. They have, like the case of Prince Johnson, Yekeh Koluba. I mean, like Prince Johnson already got the vice president, number 2 in the country. However, they still had the courage to express their inner feelings, how they felt about certain things. They didn't keep it secret. They didn't. It brought about this conversation that we all are having now, so we can talk about it in a nation, a society that will talk about issues, especially express feelings of people to the national level, that we all can have a conversation and talk about. I think it's a good thing. So in this case, we can find resolution, we can find remedy, and we can resolve the matter. Now, do I think President Boakai is going to give in to him because he's saying these things? I don't think so. I mean, they're going to sit and talk. But I think also on the side of these people, we got to start having mature conversations now. You know, it's good for the public to have one bit of it, and we can all sit and talk about, discuss it, analyze, and all of that, and give our point of views. But it's also good to put it at the mature levels. We're talking about people who are in government. We're talking about people who are senators and representatives around here who have shared the platform, the table, the inner circle of President Boakai. So there should be a way to channel some of these things so that they can address it at a mature level, so that we know that there are people there, there are adults in the house, and not just children running around just using the platform to just talk. Now, in other cases where things are not going well, you can come up and talk. But our country needs to have the assurance. We have to be reassured that the government is going to deliver. The new administration coming in can deliver and deliver for us. Now, that's why I've been telling people, manage expectations. I've been one of the person championing that cause, because I know politicians, I know politics. They will tell you all the things that you need. You don't jump. You always got to have a steady mind, be measured, because things don't just come like that. But at least when we can have freedom of speech, we can have a stable society, we can have peace, and we can have opposition. We should be fine with that. And incrementally, gradually, things will. So, and I'm baffled. I'm very, very, very concerned of who these people are behind President Boakai, pushing him to try to prove something. I mean, it's like he wants to just assure the people and just want to do something. No, he should relax, chill, take your time. Go. I mean, your statesman. I know him. He's very meticulous, very methodical, and keep it calm. And look, the results will come over time. It's not, you just got in. It's not even 1 month. Don't rush things. Don't let people push you.
What is he rushing? I mean, the appointment is taking forever. What is the rush there?
So what's happening? What I see is that he's looking at imagery to start off, instead of having a sober mind and being in the back with steady hand. So all of these images, the images we're seeing, the objects, where he's making all the outlandish, giving it outlandish promises that with no implementation, no plan, no plan of action.
Making promises since he became president, and they are outlandish.
I mean, they're just sound bites. They're just objects. Because like if you look at the things he's saying, if you really look at it critically, analyze it, dissect it, it says nothing. It's saying nothing. It's an open air theory. So what I'm seeing, leave the planet public face, the images, stop the planet talking, just sit back, take your time, gradually pick up your course. You're already slow. When President Sali won elections in 2005, before inauguration, the whole cabinet was formed. The whole cabinet was already formed. As soon as he took office, they were ready. This administration has come in, and we're still going around. I know, there'll be the flexibility with the legislature.
And that's why when you say you're rushing, I was saying, but okay.
Rushing on the image. No, I said images, the image. So be steady and take your time on that, and not forget about the image, the vision, the visuals, those images that you pointing, like to going to the place to do the drug test, like come here and promising 100-day plan and all of those things.
So what do you make of Yekeh? Is he credible? Is he still the darling of the opposition? Is he the one? Or right now we say he's crazy?
Well, I wouldn't say he's crazy. I would just think, he should be a little measured. He has the right to express his grievances, and that's what we want. We want a society where people can have the courage to come up and express their inner feelings, that themselves have that courage to permeate that, and channel it. Once we're not fighting, we're not taking go, we can talk. It's better. But how we do it now, we should go to the stage now where he should start at least doing it at a mature level. That's what I'm saying, because they are all government officials. I said the same thing for the Weah administration, and I will say the same for the Boakai's administration. We should all start being mature, know how to channel, because he once shared the inner circle of President Boakai. He sat on the table with him. He had conversations. Stop putting the blockade, stop putting that wall between you and him. And I can talk to him, but I will just sit and talk. Then that's when you become a public nuisance.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Yeah, what is going on is nothing new. This is a feeling or system of entitlement. What we feel is that when we do certain things or we support a candidate, then we're automatically entitled to certain positions and certain guarantees and all of that, whereby your support is good for bringing forth a result, but at the same time, there should be something greater than our own selfish entitlements that should govern us. So he's getting battled from all around. Remember, there was a very narrow victory. There are a lot of seditions in the background that they're ready to pounce on this government for any mistake they made. They've got other people as well who their candidate was not supported. So it's a balance he's going to be trying to reach, and I believe that he will have to create more and more awareness of what he's doing. I think he can talk, if he talks to the people, let them understand that things take time. There is gradual things, and he will manage it. But right now, all we've seen is what we've been seeing. Prince Johnson is Prince Johnson. If he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to go to his pulpit and he's going to propound a theory against you. Now, how do you react? Is simply keep the awareness of people, let them know, educate, raise their awareness that these things have to be done in a systematic way. It has to be done that it's best interest of all, and people should be. Can you imagine your own Secretary General going on a protest? This is look to navigate these. I hear what Mr. Greaves is saying, but to navigate political waters when your own Secretary General is forming a protest against you, your people who supported you already criticizing you, and it's not even a month. That is very, very rough waters. And
Jimmy, do you believe the president brought this upon himself, or people are just disenchanted? Because if you promise that, number one, you're going to declare your asset before you take office, you don't do that. You talk about war crime court in your inaugural, you pull it back. You also say, I'm going to get one cabinet member from each county, and you're not able to accomplish that. I mean, don't you think that the president himself set himself for that? Set himself up for that?
You're right. Some of these things are self-inflicted. Okay, when you make these promises, then it's time to pay up, and you don't pay up. Yes, you're going to get some backlash for that, especially the declaring of assets. If you don't even declare the assets, why haven't you?
But you did it today.
You know how much?
There you go.
You know what his asset is, Dr. Douglas?
I'm not interested in his asset. I don't care. He's president.
No. I'm not saying your interest, but do you know? Is it out there?
No, I don't know. I just know he did it.
But then
this is the asset declaration. We talk about, it's like, oh, you do it, but it doesn't really matter. When somebody's corrupt, they're corrupt. When the system is corrupt, it's corrupt. You can declare anything you want. We saw people declaring, oh, I have only $200 in my bank account. 2 years later on, they have $1 million house.
Yeah, then you have a basis, you have a baseline for the audit. But let's move on to the confirmation after Jimmy, you complete your thoughts.
Yeah, so even with the declaring of the assets, what in all the time in the past, do we know how much assets these people declare before we say if they declare it, then we can go out? There's no transparency,
You have to declare it before you get elected.
Yeah, well, still, after you get it, let's say you declare, I have $1 in the bank. I think there was one senator who declared he had very little amount of money at all, and nobody challenged it. There's nothing you can do about it. If we're going to make laws, then we have to make laws that will help us. Will be able to enforce. So if we say you have to declare your assets and it has to be made public, I bet you will see different things happening. But the fact that they can declare assets and we don't know what it is, we can
But
contrast it.
usually
We should know. It's part of the
public, though.
law.
It is public. I think it was only we who started and say, I don't want to publish it.
So we'll see what is published for Mr. Boakai's, President Boakai's asset very soon. And since we are still on the president, let's look at his 100-day deliverable. President Boakai has 100 days deliverables. I want to start with you, Jimmy. How are we doing? And I'm intentionally asking this question. How is the president doing with his 100 days deliverable?
Well, we heard what the Minister of Public Works said. No carbon being stuck in the mud. Well, we're in dry season. Okay. So if that, I want to see if that, we got to wait till rainy season before that will hold up when we see the trucks stuck in the mud. What else did he promise? He promised his asset declaration.
Not promise. We're talking about his 100 days deliverable.
So 100 days.
Yeah.
You have it?
Other than the
mud.
Yes, I haven't seen very much come out of the 100 days, and I don't believe. You see, if you're taking over an organization, I've been through this before, even though on a much smaller scale. You have to make an assessment. That's why the audits are important, but not only for money. The audit is not about money. How is the system working? Now, he's been around the system, so that's a positive part. But how will he bring about the changes he wants? How will he create jobs in the private sector? All these, he needs time. Yeah. And here's the more challenging part of Liberian system. It is our people, the experts, the civil servants, and all of that. They have to be brought up to a level that they will be able to perform with nobody, no matter who is there. So there's a lot of things he has to put in place before to get this moving. I think the 100-day promise is just another political, overture. That's all it sounds like to me.
So that was a trick question. President Boakai did not give us a 100-day deliverable. Dr. Duque.
Yeah, but I was going to say I haven't seen it, but
right. It's not there.
I don't think he make when you.
So my question to you, Dr. Douglas, is it important that you have one, or doesn't matter?
No, but if he gave you one, you come back to what Jimmy just said. You can't expect him to do it because he doesn't really know the system. The guy doesn't have an office yet. He has no minister working.
Let's be serious here.
No, I'm serious. No, you can make
because you say he doesn't know, so you can't come in office with a plan of what you think you're going to accomplish.
No. You have a vision. You have a plan.
Right.
You say,
so where is
it? Yeah, I want to pave this road. I want to do this with the airport. I want to do this with electricity. I want to do this. But that takes time to know what you have and the capacity of your people. And that's not one thing. So you can sit on the first day and say, okay, you bring some consultant and they give you $100, 100-day plan. That's what happened to Wea. And at the end, they say he only performed what? 30%, 30%?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have to do it because he was just coming to the government.
Roadmap, something you can use to measure.
Yeah, but that
you're not going to do it, so you don't need
it. I would say you take 6 months to know the government, 6 months to know what your administration is doing, who's functioning, who's not functioning. You know the problems, you know the gaps, and then you see, okay, from these 6 months, we are going to plan for 100 days, or you're going to have, but not like taking over a government overnight and come up with. What are you going to do? Just lie. It just be lies. Promises that you cannot keep. So it doesn't make sense.
I don't agree. Does 100-day plan make sense?
I do not think so. It has no impact because there's been no implementation. There's been no plan at all. And these are some of the problems we have. It's like Jimmy will understand this project management. When you're given a project You're never been on that project before.
You think I would not understand
You
it?
give a proposal, huh?
I said, you think I would not understand it?
Oh no. I mean he not even in a way condescending to you. No, what I mean is that he.
Okay, I don't understand it.
No, not no. I didn't mean that. When I point Jimmy up, because many of times I've been on, the only person who's been really making reference to project management and what have you has been Jimmy. That's the reason I always like pointing to him. It's not like I think that is professional or something like that. And I studied project management. So that's why if it was a communication, I would call Dr. Dukley. If it's moderating,
I've been project managing all my life.
Okay, all right, okay. Everybody,
I've been managing projects for the past 15 years.
Oh, okay. So I didn't hear that from you. I only heard Jimmy.
No, I never talk about. I'm so well rounded.
Okay, but okay. Generally speaking,
we take it for granted. That's why we don't talk about it.
Okay, generally speaking, project management. If you got a project to implement, you haven't been there. You haven't sat in that seat. What you advance is a proposal, and that proposal will determine your capability of carrying on that project. So that we do bidding process. Who gets the best bid? Who gets the best proposal? Yeah, they gotta understand what it is, what he understand the jobs. So it's like when you're going for a new job, they ask you all these questions. Why you be able to know that you want the job, why you want it, explain why. So as they come to the presidency, you haven't been president before. We all know that.
Yeah,
you haven't.
Let me stop you. Let's do a little bit of the project management, because you must have your project plan, right?
Yeah.
You must have milestones. You must have your key deliverables. You do your risk analysis and see where you're going to mitigate risks, right? So all these things are laid out, right? So before starting the project, you should lay these things out. So if we go about your project management example, we should have that from President Boakai. We should already know the milestones. We should know who's doing what.
So Jimmy, what do you say?
If you allow me to come in, this is the elements.
Hold on, Jimmy. Let Greaves.
So what are you talking about? You come up with a framework of your ideas, vision, and all of that, and then you get into the government, and then you try to adapt your vision to the government, or try to adapt the government reality to your vision.
You have to adapt your vision to the government, because that's the reality.
Okay, that's the reality. So therefore, your plans cannot be working until you know the real capacity of your
in fact, you may have to reformulate your plan.
Yeah, you have to know what you have in your hand.
Dr. Dukley, you must come with a plan. You can't say, well, I don't know what I'm inheriting. I don't know what is there.
Yeah, but you think the library people elected him because he can wear fancy clothes?
Of course, and what he said, he was better off. He said he was a better candidate.
He was better off. So
if you allow me to come in, if you allow me to come in, Dennis, your example of the project, you see, when you enter there in the beginning, you may have certain goals you run. Before we get into project management, there's visions and goals you establish. Right. After you establish, you do the research to determine what objectives will get you to the goals. And when you find out you have to do this and this and this to get you there, then you put it together in a project plan with milestones to determine how you will get there.
A roadmap.
Yes, a roadmap.
That's what he did.
So the first thing now.
When do you do that?
But he done it. That's why he got elected.
Before the project starts.
Yes.
Those are the fundamental stage for getting into a project. So now, what I brought in the scenario, the whole example of the corporate project management is that he's been around, old politician. He said he was a better candidate. He said he could do everything better. He all listed all of those qualms and ills in government that he would have faced. And everybody would have thought by now, and that's the reason he won. And I'm happy he won, yes. But you can't come to us and tell us, hey, I was not in government. So that excuse is and besides, you have people around you. No, I'm just saying what General is saying. Like people say, oh, he was not in government, what have you. So but let me just close on this. So and that's why I said I was so concerned
Because when you're talking, when you come, you're not just talking to the Liberian people. There are people like people who have fundamental background in these areas, who are sitting abroad, sitting in other places. Our partners, they are watching, they are listening. And what does it do? It's detrimental. Because when you start contradicting facts as a leader, instead of just coming in, sometimes I say, look, there's no second chance for a first impression. Although we are very forgiving people, we will go with it and whatever. But you gotta be very careful. Leave the microphone, sit back, work. Look,
what are the contradictions that you think
what it does is that it creates a climate of dissatisfaction, uncertainty,
we have one more
amongst the people.
to touch on.
Yeah, but I think Mr. Greaves, Bill, you kind of like extrapolate sometimes because your criticism is so wide. It's like
I'm giving you
he was in the government.
The public perspective from sitting outside. Look, listen, I want the best for the government. Let me just end this. I was just about to finish. I want the best for the government. It's my country. I'm a Liberian, proud Liberian. And whoever leaves Liberia, I respect and I'm a support. But we gotta be critical when we see things that not create the image that we want to see abroad or other places or whatever. We should highlight these things. That's why we should have these conversations. So because they are listening. And who knows what will happen from it? You're not just talking, you're talking even it's impacting our stance nationally. You don't want to have a president with the population is dissatisfied with or uncertainty or distrust. You don't want to have a president where our international relations, our international partners, and our engagements and potential investors are all kind of like, let me say, hey, can we trust this? Can we trust that? So these are some of the things we're talking about. I'm not criticizing because
I think
when President came with her plan, she had a roadmap plan. It was implementation plans she had that went to the transformation of her government, the transformation agenda of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government for the poverty reduction strategy. Those were the plans that were taken around with. We're driving the plan of actions, things that will be done. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Let me respond a little bit because I think we're talking about it. I think it's good to criticize. I think it's good to make suggestions. But coming up with blanket condemnation and say you're going to lose respect, you're going to lose your credibility, and then the outside world is watching you. And I'm saying in the context of today's world, I mean, nobody really watching Liberia really. That's not the problem. I think what we should be worried about is what Liberian people are thinking about their own Liberia and what Liberian people are thinking about the president. Now what some goes to somewhere investor that never came anyway. We never had
those. Nationally, the population.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, those things.
You create a
I'll let you talk. I agree with you. The drug thing was a mishap. I think that was a bad publicity for the president. He doesn't need to go take a drug test. We don't expect him to be smoking pot every night or taking cocaine or anything. That's, I think the drug issue is about the youth, the young people. Get them out of the street, get them out of the drug culture, and then stop the traffic of drugs.
But Duke, I'm not going to let you off. I can't let you get off like that. What was the purpose of he taking the drug test? Since you want to get on that, let's find out. And I will emphasize what Greaves is going after. What was the purpose of taking a drug test?
Yeah, but I say it was a miscommunication act. I say I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying the drug issue is about the youth. It takes
but we're talking about somebody who.
Yeah, but the president I tested negative for taking my drugs. They say, okay, so what?
Okay.
We don't expect you to be.
All right.
We're talking about somebody who's been in politics for 40-some years. This is unprecedented, first of all. Let's remember that this is unprecedented. He's been in politics for so many years. He's managed to get the presidency by his clever movement in politics. Now he takes the stand, grown man, to go do the drug test. As for me, I think there's something else part of his plan. But other than that, it does not clear Why would he go and make such a
And that's
Yeah, but
bold?
you said you said that earlier. You said maybe, you said maybe Boakai would use this down the line for something. I'm not sure what. I didn't pick up at the time, but that's your idea.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was. I think you can fight drugs in many ways.
Let's see what happens down the road, and maybe he knows a little more.
Finally, that's what you need to say down the road.
Right. Maybe there are some people are coming to work charge.
Yeah.
The last thing I want us to talk about is confirmations, right? And we've watched some of these confirmations. Dr. Douglas, what really the Senate? What is it that they're looking for? If you listen to their questioning, I listened to Senator McGill asked the public work minister designate. He said, "Of all the roles, which role you think is the best?" What do you think the Senate? What do you think they're looking for in these?
This is again government. The president has somehow his partners in control of the Senate. They had the committees or whatever you call them, the commissions. So the president sent his nominees to the Senate. Unless something really, really bad happens, the Senate will confirm that person. And they just say, usually just say, people accept that the president had done his vetting before sending somebody forward to the Senate. But sometimes the vetting is not, like just now, I think you sent something out about somebody who was stopped in, somebody from the U.S. who was on the U.S. list or something. You sent it to us, right? From Front Page Africa.
Yes, there was somebody recommended by the VP.
Yeah. Okay. Those kind of things. Those kind of. But usually, anybody who goes to the Senate is usually a trusted person from the president's point of view. So you take the file, and if you have a friendly Senate, like now, everybody pass through. If you have a bad Senate, then they will investigate them. But really, it's not. It's just a formality, unless really something sticks up completely.
Honorable Graves, is it formality, rubber stamp? Just
well, I wouldn't say formality or rubber stamp. What I would say, I will put it this way. It is a tradition. Like every new administration coming in, at your first sets of officials, public servants, there happen to be a little flexibility because they want you to have your full soldiers on the ground. Because if the government has a function and those people are not holding those various positions and what have you, it handicaps you. So what the Senate usually does is that they try to fast track, and they're a little bit lenient. But then, as you can see, the names, of all those people being nominated and appointed so far, people who are capable, who can have the requisite experience and knowledge, who can, except for few, but a lot of them, like I was just talking with my friend, and let me use this occasion, and your charge me, Janice, to congratulate my good friend and brother, Roland Giddens, for his ascendancy at the Public Works Ministry. So there are a couple of few others, like the security sector. I see Greg Como, Mr. Como, the police. These are people who are, you can say yes, they have been. So it makes it a little easier for the Senate as well to kind of fast track and have flexibility. My problem I have with the dilemma concerning the confirmation was sometimes we should probably advise the candidates, the nominees, what are the things to look at, how the deportment, how you carry yourself, what you do, things not to get involved with, especially our Minister of Foreign Affairs, coming with the large crowd of people, those banditry and things. It's not for that ministry. It's you gotta be. And then when she finally went for the confirmation, what I saw, you got to understand what's diplomacy. Even if you haven't worked there before, people should be able to school people. Get etiquette. You do not wear certain colors like that bright yellow. It was eye-showing. And for diplomats, we know what we talk about when it comes to.
Some people will come after you, Greeks.
Yeah, no, but seriously, I was like, who allowed it? Because I don't blame her too much, because there should be advisor people at the ministry who say, hey, There's, dark color. It's for you kind of public appearances, what have you. And official, anything official, make sure the color is dark color. Because it's anyway, let me not go into that too much. And then we had a problem with this guy from the Internal Affairs Ministry, who everybody accusing, there's another dilemma, that the Senate should not confirm because he got involved with a lot of things in LOFA that caused the loss of life and all kind of things. He was in a habit of bringing the devil outside every now and then and what have you, and he lost his seat. So now he's going to Internal Affairs. He doesn't have the right temperament to serve as the local government head, dealing with traditional councils and all that. Knee-jerk reaction and things like that. The guy will be, he too up there. So that was another thing. And the last one was I'll get back to it. I think I went on that one other two, but I will stop right there. So I mean, everything is fine, going fine, and usually the Senate will have their level of flexibility. I would say flexibility. Make it qualify. Yeah.
And this thing start in the committee room. Those who are heading this thing, right? I don't know, maybe because there's too much eye on them, but it was some of it looked a little awkward, like not trying to be condescending. Like the Senate, you see some of them like they don't know what they're doing, right? Like if you have McGill to question the education minister on stuff, right?
On education.
On education. You have Darius DeLong on,
Foreign affairs.
Foreign affairs. And I see what was it? The other person was sitting near him was Sir Joseph.
Sir Joseph, yes.
Yeah. What you make of the? Let me start there and say what you make of the Senate. What are they looking for and where are they getting at? Or is it as Dr. Duclos say? Well, the president, it's like formality.
Yeah, largely, I believe it is a formality, unless there are some very red flags that come up during your confirmation. It's going to be more of a formality, like in the case of Wambudiki or in the case of Zolizo, where you've made some comments or your involvement has risen red, red
like
flag.
the Internal Affairs Minister designate.
Yeah. So otherwise than that, I was looking at the foreign minister's confirmation, and even though there was this cloud over her with her academic credentials, she actually blew them away. And it all is of if they've forgotten the main thing they were going there. But if you scrutinize her confirmation, there was something about her initial bachelor degree that was never brought out clearly, even though it was directly.
Why you think that was? Because if this was causing the whole noise, and the Senate did not ask any question concerning that,
I think that's usually
no.
Dylan
asked the question.
Dylan, he withdrew the question. He took it back.
He asked the question, but if someone asks you, if someone asks you, tell me about your education, you typically would start with your undergrad.
No.
But somebody jump and say, well, when I wanted an advanced degree.
No, but why did the Senate never specifically ask that question? Why?
I believe Senator Dillon did ask that question.
The same thing applied to the guy who was being confirmed for the RIA. They asked him because there was questions about his credentials. There was another one, I think it was not maritime, but a lady. They asked those questions. So why was the
Dennis, also you have to remember now, after that public hearing, the committee can call you back.
No. I'm talking about publicly. This was what the Liberian people that want to watch were looking for. And
people were looking for something, but the committee has its own way.
They didn't want to have any kind of contentious forum, and they didn't want to dignify gossips. Because the accusation came from.
They
want to dignify.
I don't want you to say gossip, right? Because they communicated to the Senate. They say here our finance. They were communicated just like they did for the RIA or director designate, right?
I would say gossip. What I say gossip because What were the premise? What were the backing? What were the evidence they had? Was it substantiated? No.
No, but
They,
no, you can say that
they
until
were
you know.
speculating because we did this, because we checked there and we didn't see this. So she must have had not. Then they accuse her of fraudulent. And you don't do that, bro. We have legal minds here. You
No,
do
no.
not accuse anybody. You got to have sufficient evidence. You must have established and substantiated your claims against the person before you say that. I listen to him for his
No,
own.
no, I'm not talking about them now. Forget them. But this was something that was communicated to the Senate that we have questions about, and you say they can't ask the question because it's gossip.
That's what I'm saying. So the Senate might have done their own background. Like we are speculating now. And I will speculate. Let me speculate. The Senate might have done their own background and found out that these guys had no foundation on what they were accusing of or what they wrote in about. So they want to dignify that at the public forum as such. And so it was like, you know what?
That's your assumption.
That's why I said I'm speculating. I'm speculating. Yeah, I hope to say that. But what I know from him, or what I listened to from him, I listened to him very well, intently. And everything I gathered from him was all based on fallacies. He had no proof. He had no evidence. He had not substantiated his fact. It was on your show. You asked him. Somebody sent me to I watched the replay. I didn't watch it, but somebody told me, said, watch this guy. And these are the things we're talking about. We all got to be accountable because those are big accusations on people. If you start calling somebody a fraud, you got to know where you're talking from. So you can say, oh, because we wrote, and then because it's impossible, we checked the roster. We didn't look. I have friends. I have people who graduated from prestigious university, and their name was not listed on the yearbook. You know why? They had issues, financial issues, somehow, other things, and what have you. The bulk of the whole ceremony and what have you. They didn't go through that, and people accuse them because it's a general thing. I can tap your name in any institution the year and what have you.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it, but I'm saying just to ask. What is wrong with asking someone about, because first of all, they send their CV, right? Unless you don't find anything on it. But if that question comes up, why is it like it's insulting? That's how it appeared to me. Like if you ask this person to tell me if they have their bachelor degree, that would be an insult. So because this person
might have done the due diligence, they might have found that you got to submit your resume, you got to submit your CV. They already had it in the possession. They might have done a due diligence to the background. And
they not to do that because he asked the question and then he pulled it back. So it is same to me. But Dr. Du, go ahead.
But no, I was going to say, we're going too much into that thing. I think I'd say the committee probably would talk about it among themselves because they meet in public and then they retire and then talk about the candidate and say, okay, should we recommend, and then they vote. And in that process, somebody may say, okay, we have these issues. Can we call her back and ask, that happens. Not every question is asked in public. But, I don't think, we need to really dwell on that. I mean, the Senate didn't ask the question. Now we have to see, are they going to confirm her, when, how, etc. But I'm sure somebody will pick it up because a lot of things have been circulating on her online, and her people have been coming on shows to talk about her. So that means there was a concern on her part that somebody was trying to tarnish her reputation or something like that. So she did act, and the fact that she acted about it means that there's something that she was worried about.
Jimmy, you think she was worried?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? If I'm gonna answer this question as truthfully as I can.
Please.
That lady got in front of that body and blew them away. I could tell the way from her explanation. She was going into the arena where these guys have to have a broad knowledge of international affairs, how the UN runs, how organizations run. They've got to be very capable to analyze the kind of things she was saying. So when she started elaborating all her involvements, all her different committees, all her promotions, they were blown away. They realized that they haven't done nothing nearly as international as this lady has done. So they were overwhelmed. They were flabbergasted. They couldn't handle all her experiences and all that.
Jimmy, I know nothing about foreign affairs or diplomacy. But what she was talking about was more of humanitarian help, and there's nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
But when he said they were blown away, it's like she was talking foreign policy.
because you were talking about her.
In fact, when they asked about the Sanikole conference, she didn't know. Right?
Exactly. It wasn't about diplomacy.
She blew them away. I want to see what foreign policy
Because of her involvement in the international
Manu River Union.
Right. So what blew them
away?
You don't know Manu River Union?
I have to be a diplomat, Mr. Greaves here. Their exposure.
So Jimmy, you told me you were going to answer as truthful as possible, right?
No,
she doesn't know about the OAU started in Sanikole. And she's talking about humanitarian relief effort. I mean, I was in Zerikore.
But she does have a lot of international exposure.
Yeah, but I think that there's a big mistake we often making, like this thing about international experience, as if it doesn't apply to Liberia. You come in, people go to the UN, you work for the UN, you go into a system that is set. Everything you do is coded. Everybody knows what you're doing. You report to someone, somebody reports to you. You don't make mistakes. You are not allowed to make mistakes. You go into Liberia, that's a chaos. So really international competence in Liberia doesn't make a sense. I mean, I remember Ellen brought a lot of people. I was there. But you know what happened? Beside, I'd say Antoine Saye, the Minister of Finance, who was really on the ground, most of them, they went to conferences. People who run the ministry were those who deputies and assistant ministers who were on the ground. Those international people who spend their whole time going from one conference to another conference. And I know that because I live in the same house with one of them.
Yeah, but I think what Jimmy is driving at is that this lady is going to be the chief diplomat for Liberia.
Let me finish.
She's going to be
Hold on, Bruce. Let me finish.
Okay. Let me finish. I'm just saying, knowing the UN system, knowing the World Bank, does nothing for Liberia. You have to know Liberia issues. You have to be there to know the problems and how to think out of the box to solve those problems. Not with the UN, those things we've been dealing with them for 60 years. They don't develop countries. And their models are just that. They live on us. We think we live off them. No, they live off us. So you don't go, I'm not impressed by the UN pedigree or the UNDP or this and that. No, really. It doesn't impress me because I saw them at work close. They worry more about going to a conference than sitting down in a marketplace in Monrovia and say, this is the problem, let's solve it. I've seen them work.
Thank you.
Sorry, my man.
I'm wrong. On that so we can move on. I don't want us to.
I understand the point. I understand the point that Adigo is raising, and I was trying to buttress Jimmy, because for her position, it's more of our partners she's going to be dealing with. It's good though. It's right. You're right. She has another internal because the foreign policy is sheltered from our domestic policies and whatnot in politics back home. But I think she's going to be in the forefront. She's our nation's chief diplomat. She's the image of us out there. So all of these, what it brings to the table, her multilateral interaction or engagement or knowledge, as well as bilateral, because when you're dealing with a multilateral institution as the United Nations, you're touching base with a lot of different groups, financial institutions, and what have you. And these are the people who bring to our country. I mean, we shouldn't fool ourselves though. We depend solely and wholly on these multilateral international multilateral financial institutions, as well as the United Nations and what have you. And how about it? That's what gave rise to President Sirleaf when President Sirleaf beat me. The difference between President Sirleaf, that she was a politician before going in the international sector, so she had both worlds. You could weigh it better. But the international contact, that international image, that foundation she had built for herself internationally, that caused her to navigate through and find a lot of openings. And
I think that's the problem. That's the problem I'm talking about. That dependency mentality, that our development, our wealth, and everything else is coming from some international group, and therefore people who represent those groups are the ones who can run the country. I think that's a problem we have.
No, but every country
Greaves, I listen to you.
Even the big countries.
Jimmy, you were there. I mean, Jimmy, you were there. Nobody knew about World Bank, IMF, World Bank, UNDP. Top of them, you didn't know about those big organizations. Nobody cared who they were. It's because we fell into this dependency mentality. We think that people who work in the international community will bring contact to us. Madam Salif did, yes. After her, how many billions of dollars we have in investment left in the country?
And Sir Joseph asked the question. Hold on, Jimmy. Sir Joseph asked the question. That same dependency. He said, "Can you open doors in DC?"
Yes.
As foreign minister,
excellent question. That was an excellent question, if you ask me.
Excellent.
Because the U.S. is one of our major. Look, let me tell you, Sir Joseph question. I've been noticing and observing. He's been very, very intelligently asking the right kind of questions. Because U.S. being our foremost partner, all during we as administration, he was never invited on a state visit to the U.S. So he's asked. That's the kind of question we need. Now she may have worked in certain organizations.
That's the president, not the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That's the president image. The president brings you to Washington, not the foreign minister. Where didn't come because he didn't have a foreign minister. He didn't come because he was where. Charles Taylor didn't come to Washington because he was Charles Taylor. Not because he didn't have foreign minister. He had Eastman. He had Moni Captain. He had Mamadou Sele, the great diplomat. He never came to Washington. So it's not a foreign minister that brings you here. It's your reputation. As you talk about Greaves, I agree with that great. Your character that brings you and take. So if you were Madam Sirleaf minister, you come to Washington, people will receive you and respect you. But where ministers come, they never went anywhere. So it's not a foreign minister, it's the president image.
And this thing, we can even talk about foreign policy. It's always about who you know.
Yeah,
let me bring in our callers. As foreign minister, do you know somebody? Oh yeah, we went to school together. So
yeah, but it doesn't work. It doesn't.
It doesn't work. I agree.
It doesn't. That's.
But Dennis, if you understand how the global.
Hold on. Let me bring in our first caller here. I want us to end this thing in the next 10 minutes. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Thank you, Mr. Jai. This is Elvis calling from Minnesota.
Go ahead, Elvis.
Thank you. I want to say hello to Mr. Eastman, Mr. Grieve, and Dr. Duke. Great show so far. I think you brought up an excellent point, Mr. Jai, when you talk about this lady experience. Of course, you have a lot of international experience, but it's in a different field of focus, in the health sector. So it's not international diplomacy like Mr. Grieve or you said it. So I don't know if she's the first female foreign minister. Maybe you guys can correct me on that.
No, she's not. What's her name?
Banky. No, Banky.
President Salif.
Banky Akerelele was minister.
Banky Akerelele.
Right. Yeah. So for me, I think Boakai, like Mr. Eastman said, the proof of the pudding for Boakai government will be in the tasting, meaning the proof of whether these appointments are the right appointment will be in their performances. So for me, I'm not even going to criticize it because for all we know, she can overperform and overachieve in that role. But for me, I think going to South Sudan and being on the UN health team, it's not the same as me, meeting heads of states or even dignitaries from other countries that have to do with political, in the political space. So for such an important position, I don't know if she's the right person, but we'll see. And the issue with Prince Johnson and Yekeh, Yekeh is a funny guy. I watched the interview; he was hilarious. But at the same time, there was some nuggets of truth in what he was saying. And some of us say the same thing, and people think we're just being partisan and being, condescending to our president, our now president. But the reality is, things are moving extremely slow. And we don't have time to waste. You're on a rescue mission. You can't be driving 25 miles. That's why we get out of the way for the ambulances to go rescue people who get in accidents or who needs to be rescued and fired. So if you're going there, you got to be on a fast pace and get, ready to work with an already formulated plan. Like people are talking about, if he has a 100-day plan, he should have had that a long time ago. He doesn't have it. So for me, I want to hold my criticism and see how this government performs. But from the early signs, I see a lot of hiccups. And maybe after a few months, maybe you'll get the full settle and start getting things going. But good show overall. And I think the conversation was more relaxed today. Wasn't too much, back bickering. So I like that format. You guys are talking like you're lecturing. You'll enjoy that. Watch it.
This tough talking. Josiah Japan.
So it's uncomfortable to watch. Because you see some people, bullying other people who don't like it. So we'll just leave it there for now.
Let me bring on the second caller here, Josiah Japan.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, I'm just I'm calling from Des Moines, Iowa.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you for the talk show. Thank all the panelists, saying almost the same thing. It just matter that, some little differences there. But all I gotta say is that Boakai would be a failure, you see it from the beginning. Look, they say when the Christmas will be good, you see from the eve. If someone wins election after 2 months and you are elected, and you don't even have 50% of your people that you appoint, and there will be a bickering and fight in your camp as early as like that, that's questionable. 40 years experience individual.
I have a different perspective. In me, it's going to be good because if people would disagree early on, and he can tolerate that and navigate it, that's good. Instead of singing Kumaya, Hallelujah, anyhow from the beginning, and nothing gets done. So disagreements are good. But go ahead.
Yeah, but it should be 1 or 2 person, but it's not everybody.
It will come together.
It's not everybody. It's not everybody. The chairman of the party should be on the team to select those people. That's going to be one of the party.
Yeah. Right. This is
okay. Yeah,
it was easier under President Weah because they say there were 3 presidents. Now it's not the case, right? So let them battle. Even I focus on like bro here, they criticize me, and before you see the show like this, we go through it too. So it's a good thing in my view.
Yeah, at times, but not all the time, especially with the fires.
How you mean all the time? The people ain't made 1 more year. You say
the main thing, the Boakai been president for 2 months. It hasn't been 1 month yet. He said 2 months.
No people that misplaced. Yeah, the appointments. Listen, hold on. The appointments. Most of the appointments are misplaced. Like one guy called Stephen Johnson. Stephen Johnson belongs to aviation. He's not an area. He's a diplomat section. Because
no. All right.
So they have to find a job for him because you're not going to get any job all the time. So you have to find a job just on the aviation. Just to shut up. But it's not a plan belongs to him. That's how it belongs. Yeah, they are appointing people that not belong to certain areas.
So what could
it's not okay.
What could area?
Okay
all right, thank you, brother. No, thank you. Let me bring on the next caller. I was only teasing. I said, what's Koji area? Sam Johnson is from Harvard, man. That's trained. He can work as an administrator anywhere. But let me bring in my friend Darling Warwood. Darling, you're live.
Hey, thank you for having me, Danny.
Yes, sir.
So I'll be very brief. If you remember the last time I called a show when Boakai was pronounced a winner of the election, I told you that I had zero expectation because Boakai is not new on the Liberian political thing. This guy has been in the corridor for the last over 4 decades, and I don't know what different people think he's going to do this time around. Probably somebody thinks he's going to perform some magic. The slogan that he came with, arrest, I don't even know whether he understands the meaning of arrest or rescue. I don't know if he really understands the meaning of the word rescue. Those are living in the United States and are working in the health field. When you're talking about rescue, you're talking about ambulances, you're talking about fire service. When fire service and ambulances are moving in traffic, all other cars park off the road. Boakai been president for the last 3 weeks.
Right.
And he has not come up with any executive order to solve any problem whatsoever. Boakai is just basically going from one church to another, going to Monday, people trying to honor him, take pictures with him. He's going to take drug tests. I don't know how many times what you got to do with drugs when people think that they're really chaotic in the country right now. It's a total mess. And for me, I have no expectation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And our for the arrest, our own Thomas kind of say now he's in power. You should add ED, arrested. E for energy, D for decentralization. But Thomas is not here tonight to defend that. Teddy, tell Lion Yako, I have 2 more callers. Let's use like 30 seconds each. Teddy, go ahead. I already know you are sedition. You are from Fargo, North Dakota. Mr. Teddy, tell Lion Yako, go ahead.
Sir. Thanks so much to hear this for everybody. Mr. John, honest things you can say.
Mr. Boakai using a lot of rhetoric. When it comes to the CDC, Mr. Douglas, we always jittery and we always say things against the CDC and we criticize President Weir about deploying a lot of soft. It's true. Let's stop talking constantly.
I never said that.
But Mr. Douglas, you cannot defend deception to the high level.
I never said.
Boakai period already. This government has killed the people already. And the citizens, we are cataloging, we are cataloging all the mistakes, and we will protest and protest. I don't know where you're going to take investors from. We only protest and come on Boakai's government.
Thank you.
They are killing our great people, and you cannot defend this. And one thing I already tell you that we the Southeast for intelligent people, we are keeping the peace for Liberia. We will always use intelligence here to keep it peaceful. We don't want to go ahead and start like others. No. But that is about to carry on or to credit the dictatorship government capitalistic movement. And our people should get ready for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tedman, go ahead. You are the last caller.
Yeah, am I on, Dennis?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for affording me the opportunity on your platform. Yeah, I just want to speak on one thing. I want to say thanks to the panelists. I think they all make good points, and that make the discussion very interesting. And I've been a strong critic of Mr. Boakai administration, but I will equally so say, we have to give it a little bit chance to see how far this government will go. We got to be very positive and look on the bright side. But towards the discussion, I just want to lay out one point here. The people on the panel tonight have been a strong critic of the past administration when it comes to appointments, when it comes to competencies. But then I'm seeing these very people here now talking about, the president appoint those who he trusts. Now we throw away competency now. It's no longer being competent or, have the merit to do the job. Now we're talking about president trust. But the past administration, President Weir appointed people that he trusted. But it was criticized. People on the very panel tonight, they bitterly criticized. They said these people were not competent.
I think Dennis, we need to put an end to this kind of thing because they're trying to put people in the box. Nobody, I have never criticized Weir ever on this show about his appointment. No. I mean, no, this lying. I don't think Jimmy ever did it. Jimmy never criticized Weir.
Thank you.
No, don't do that. No, we should not allow people to lie on the line. People on the panel criticize Weir for Southwest from the beginning. I said here at the beginning of the show, I said I never raised issue about Weir appointment ever. I never said Weir appointed people in trust. Ever. You want to question the competence of anybody in Weir government ever except
just let it go. Just let it go. They made a call out. I mean, everybody will talk what they got to talk about.
He's a second person who, he's a second person who said the same thing that we, he's the second person who said it's like citizens have this in their mind that anybody who said something positive about Boakai is against CDC, and therefore you've been criticizing them from day one. Don't do that. It's like the right political thinking. Just come on. You criticize Weir. We never criticize Weir the way you criticize Boakai because we sat here. When Weir was president for 4 months, I was in Monrovia going to the mansion every day. 4 months.
Thank you.
So don't be lying. Come here and lie to people, man. Come on, guys. We should not let this kind of people do this kind of stuff.
Let a lot more people talk. They don't talk whatever. Because it's better we know.
Yeah, but they're going to accusing you.
How much does that?
If I come and say, every time you come on the show, all you do is criticize Boakai. Is that what you want me to do that? And this two people say the same thing, one after another. You guys criticize Weir. Today you're accusing Boakai. No, we don't. You have to take this debate at the level.
Dennis, all my friend, the guy always call and criticize me. Always talk about me. I miss him.
Well, let's go through our Tabata of the week and then we can close. Honorable Grace, you start with the Tabata of the week.
Well, my Tabata of the week is
our new viewers. If you are watching today, Tabata is a Kru speaking language meaning foolishness. Every day there's some foolishness going on somewhere, and so every week we call the Tabata of the week. Honorable Grace, you go first.
My Tabata is the chairman party, the chairman of the Unity Party, ruling party. He went around with all his newly appointed officials and ushering into the various offices, all the lucrative areas like LPRC, NOCAL, and what have you. And forgot that he had not secured himself a spot yet. So when he realized at the last meeting, I was like, "Oh, gentlemen, what you mean I'm carrying you out to this big office?" I shall be running after my own thing, but I'm not able to take all the guys, the various offices at LPRC where you got a lot of money, NOCAL, the administrator, and I'm left out, gentlemen. So what happened? Then I said, you know what, we're arranging a conference for you. So the point, I know he left. They were sending me on a conference. Rabbi said, the government was some conference. That's my, so that's why you got to look after yourself before you look after other people. Always.
Like you're in a plane, they say you put your mask on fire before you help others.
Yeah.
Jimmy, what's your Tabata of the week?
Okay, I will tell you a story about Tubman. Tubman used to free prisoners every Christmas.
Is that your Tabata of the week?
Yeah, I will link it. He used to free prisoners every Christmas. And then one time he went to the jail to free the prisoner. He said, "My man, they got a prisoner in there." He said, "I want you to pick 3 people for y'all to come outside." So the Tubman, he went, he picked, okay, he saw his friend John, he saw his friend Pete, and he saw his friend Flomo. And then they all started walking out of jail. Then he too went behind and they said, "But where you going? I told you to pick 3 people." You really picking 3 people. You're not going out. My Tabata, I think the move by the chairman was the worst. This is one of the worst things he could have done. I think he should have exercised patience. One, he didn't see the road down his way down the road. I was totally taken aback by this move, and I can tell that it tells you that there's some people who are not really with you, because when you are a friend of somebody or when you do support somebody, even when that person neglects you or leaves you out, you don't do things like that. So there's going to be very revealing things coming in this administration. I can and to the caller, I can't make an assessment of this administration yet.
Forget it, caller.
But until we find out all the things they're doing and before. But we had 6 years of the things that he survived that I will praise him for. The things we feel he should have changed. But at the same time, this one, we're just starting. Give it a chance, Paul. Okay?
Thank you. Dr. Duke, your Tabata of the week.
My Tabata, I wanted to do something international. Senegal. That yesterday the gendarmes of the National Army went to the parliament to arrest opposition leaders because Mr. Macky Sall has decided to postpone the election for 9 months because he said there's a conflict between the House and the Council, the Supreme Court. What has to do with it? So that's my Tabata. It's West Africa, and then Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are leaving ECOWAS, have left ECOWAS actually.
Yeah.
Because Niger, they've been.
Hold on, Jimmy. We don't going to be having a show on Niger again. This Tabata. Let me give my Tabata of the week. And my Tabata of the week is the praise and worship when I witnessed when they say induction of the free port manager, and they were in this little office with 2 conference tables, and they managed to take a choir in there to sing praise and worship before the induction. I mean, when last have we become this religious?
When last time you were in Moravia? Five
maybe I've
churches
been
on
away
one
too
block.
long.
Five
That,
churches on
that
one block.
induction of the port manager, and we have a choir there. I was expecting, and the person being inducted, I don't think he's even a Christian.
No, his name is Sekou Kamara or something.
Yeah, Sekou Dukle.
Well,
Darling, what would say mathematics of the week is Joe Boakai and his VP taking drug tests. I don't know what purpose it serves. What problem did that solve? I don't know. Sam Wallo Tabata is those who have demanded change and who are now witnessing variation of such changes President Boakai is exhibiting, but yet are condemning him for not keeping the promises that will, in essence, keep things the same. Well, that's all the Tabata for the day. Let's come on with your closing. Gentlemen, I want hold on. Are you calling to contribute?
Oh, no, goodness.
I
will, but listen, man, you gotta protect us. We need to call a Dr. Google it.
Oh man, my man, the show still going on. You still want to? All right. I thought you wanted to contribute. All right, let's do our closing here and 45 seconds each. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. What we looking for to see this administration do: creation of jobs, restoration of the health facilities in the country, where everybody it'll be available to everybody, and this will be telling in a short amount of time. And what we must not expect though is anything in the near future. We have to give them at least 6 months before we can begin to see if the changes he's made will make a difference.
Thank you. Honorable Grace.
Oh yeah. In closing, thanks for the program. I enjoyed it, and thanks for being in the space with you all, astute gentlemen. Gentlemen. Yeah. So I wish to share first of all that both our foreign policy and its operationalization reflects diplomacy and negotiation on the international level. Um, International level doesn't mean that we are begging. It's just how we negotiate and go about our distributive bargaining. The agreement on how we create and distribute value and interest on agreed terms, because all of those are the door opener for our country to have all of the wealth of investment and all the things that come to us. It doesn't just happen domestically. So we should be encouraged to support our chief diplomat, the government as well, because as they go out there and champion our cause and showcase our image, the better it is for us back home. It attracts a lot of things back home for us, and that's where the money is made. That's how the economy is strong. For the government, the new administration, I'll keep making comments. The new administration, we hope for the best. I will advise in my weak ways that he's still calm, subtle. He doesn't have to prove anything. Like I borrowed from my wife, she said, "What? You can't make a silk purse out of the peak ears. No way, it doesn't work." So in conclusion, we as Liberians, we should die winning united than to die losing divided. Thank you.
Dr. Dukle.
Yes, I'm happy we had this long conversation about the future of Liberia under Joe Boakai. And I'll say, having seen administration come and go from the beginning to the end in at least 3 cases, I think I'll give any government at least 6 months to know what they're doing, to get used to the place, to know who they're dealing with and their possibilities and all of that. Having said that, I think Boakai is very methodical. He has his plan. And I think if you look at the government, people were talking about the new appointment, for example, in the mansion, where he has economic advisor, this and this and that. So yeah, Boakai has It's creating 2 layers of government. So he has a plan. He's doing something. So if we watch his appointments, the Minister of Finance, there's a correspondent in the mansion. The budget, there's a correspondent. He's creating that kind of layers, administration that we have to watch. So I'm saying give him 6 months, and then 6 months to also the new people who are coming in, who may take anything between 1 month to 2 months to just know where to sit down in their office. And then after that, you can say, okay, the government worked, the government didn't work. I don't think we've been here criticizing where and comparing where and Boakai. No, I don't think so. I don't think that was anybody's intention. They're 2 different administrations, 2 different people, and we don't expect them to be the same. So comparing them doesn't even make sense. So I thank everyone.
Thank you. And we still wait. I think there are still more jobs. They didn't even start on the superintendent yet.
You're coming to sign up, my man. I'll drive you to sign up myself.
I haven't heard a name yet, Dennis.
Right.
Oh, he need coming.
Right. They don't start on the superintendent yet. So we are still hopeful. Because I want to use that time to be teaching at Sino High. Superintendent of Sino.
There you go.
Free. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for tonight. I want to thank our viewers and those who are watching now, even those who will watch later. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, we close with a song that says, "We are all Liberian," and that's exactly who we are. Have a good night, gentlemen.
We are Liberian.